Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, again, you guys, I wanted to go through this. And again, let's remind everyone here who's listening to this or watching this video that overt acts and withholds are always asked of children. And that usually starts, depending on the parents, when they're toddlers, like 2 years old. It depends on the Scientology parents and how the public Scientologist raises their child versus a staff member is going to be different. And again, each Scientology parent and family is different. But I assure you that children are asked for their overts and withholds. That is an absolute fact. And this is from Scientology online courses. So whomever is not aware of the things that go on in Scientology, this is very important to pay attention to. This is from Scientology Online Courses 3.1. Read the article, Overt Acts and Withholds. Imagine that you're a 4 or 5-year-old child and this is what is applied to you, because this is what is applied. Overts. When someone does, here we go with the vague language again. You see, everyone, whomever was writing this, L. Ron Hubbard or his cronies, they knew exactly what they were doing. So when someone, that would mean a child as well, you guys. You know, the adult in a child's body. When someone does something harmful that goes against a moral code, they have agreed to. Well, now have they agreed to it? Inquiring minds want to know. It's a 3 or 4-year-old child that doesn't have any of his or her free will. Have they agreed to this? Crickets. That goes against a moral code they have agreed to. This is what is called an overt act, or more simply, an overt. You guys know about all the times I talk about when the children are in trouble from whatever reason. You know, maybe they didn't run fast enough. Maybe they forgot an LRH policy. Maybe they fell asleep on course because they were exhausted from working 18-hour days. This is one of the punishments that they may get. It's all groupthink. This is any harmful action that a person has done against himself. See what I said? Groupthink. His family, his group. Well, geez, where'd I get that from? Any other living things or objects or property. Do you see what a setup that is? So a more abusive, narcissistic type person is going to just roll with that. And they do. The more abusive type person is going to just go crazy with these policies. And again, too, a lot of Scientologists that are following these policies will appear more abusive or narcissistic in nature. Not all of them are narcissists. Absolutely not. Zero. An overt is something a person has done, you know, like a child has done that he wouldn't want to have happen to him. And, you know, there's room for all kinds of manipulation here. An overt can be done on purpose or by accident. So let's just say the child was on course and he tripped and fell. Yeah, by the way, that's an overt. Isn't that great? So because the child slipped and fell because he's exhausted from working 18-hour days, he gets punished further with an overt. Overts do not have to be large. Something as simple as showing up late. Yeah, oversleeping because you worked 18 hours the night before as a 9-year-old. Yeah. Or not doing a professional job at work is an overt. Goes for children too. They're not special. Children are adults in child bodies. Isn't that fantastic? That's not a recipe for pedophilia, is it? Overts can also include damaging equipment. Can you imagine this? Imagine a little child is told to do some type of manufacturing work, and on accident they damage the equipment. Wonder if that's what Reese Cabell did when her manager threw a fax machine at her. Huh. She was what, 15 or something, working on staff? Hiding things from one's boss. By the way, children can be bosses as well. In fact, Flag in Clearwater, Florida, is full of child supervisors. How crazy is that, you guys? And Scientology's making all this money on these children that are supervisors of the auditors. Isn't that wild? Taking illegal drugs, like LRH did, because LRH really liked his drugs. Drinking while driving or otherwise breaking the law. Can you imagine the audacity of LRH to talk about breaking the laws when all his policies supported and enforced breaking the WOG law, which is a racial slur in the UK. Huh. An overt is something someone didn't do that he should have done. Like maybe he didn't clean the toilet enough with the toothbrush. It wasn't up to the supervisor's liking. The child that was cleaning the toilet with the toothbrush. Yeah, that could be an overt right there. For example, an overt is also something someone, like a child, didn't do that he should have done. For example, I can't wait for this. Seeing a child about to hit a younger child. Oh, that never happens in Scientology. And not stopping it or doing something about it. They love that phrase, do something about it, do something about it, do something about it. Work, slave, work, do something about it. But instead, walking the other way would be an overt act. Well, Hubbard would know, wouldn't he? So an overt act is not just injuring someone or something. An overt act is doing something, an act of commission, or not doing something, an act of omission. I'd love to know where he got all his craziness from. That does the least good for the least number of people. That's more groupthink right there. Because, they're not allowed to be individuals. Or areas of life are the most harm to the greatest number of people or areas of life. This would include a person's family. Oh, like the nerve that Hubbard had any regard for family whatsoever. That the Scientology policies that L. Ron Hubbard wrote had any such regard for the family. No regard. And any Scientologist that's listening knows that's true. This would include a person's family, group, or team. See, more groupthink. And mankind as a whole. Never mentioning anyone as an individual. They're not allowed. Especially children are not allowed. Many people think that any destructive action is an overt simply because it is destructive. I honestly can't stand reading his crap. I don't know how people can stand this. I would want to do something crazy, like I don't know. I would just go nuts trying to hear this stuff all day. To them, all destructive actions or omissions are overt acts. I mean, it's just, honestly, to me, it's gibberish. This is not true. Not destroying something can be an overt act. For example, a poisonous snake that is about to bite a small child should be harmed in order to save the child. Assistance to a harmful or destructive activity or thing can also be an overt act, such as helping robbers to get away from the police. A beneficial act is something that helps broadly, like groupthink, like helping more than one person, like saving the world. Ooh, saving the world. Children need to work 18 hours a day to save the world. That they're not saving, by the way. It can be beneficial act to harm something. It can be a beneficial act to harm something that would be harmful to many people in areas of life. See, like it's just groupthink over and over and over and over. Everything that he talks about is groupthink, hive mind. The idea of not harming anything and helping everything. And it's all just a mind F because nobody's helping really anything. They think they are, and a lot of them mean well, but they're not helping. Are both rather mad. Helping people would make slaves of others, would not be considered a beneficial action. By the way, he's mocking you right there. And therefore would be an overt act. But destroying a disease would be beneficial and therefore not an overt. I don't understand why there's not more nervous breakdowns in there. Well, of course they do. They keep people trapped. There's probably a lot more nervous breakdowns than we'll ever know, including children, including 10-year-olds that try to off themselves. You know, no big deal. Moloch, anyone? Withholds. An overt that a person has done but isn't talking about. You see, that nobody's allowed to have secret, any kind of thoughts to themselves. Or hasn't told anyone. Oh, this is just, right here, this is soul destroying. Soul destroying. Or hasn't told anyone is called a withhold. So you're not allowed to have any thoughts without Scientology knowing everything in your mind. Mind control, anyone? A withhold always comes after an overt. For example, a woman who steals money from her employer has committed an overt. She then doesn't tell anyone about it, which makes it a withhold. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of all the children that have to steal food in the kitchen. I guess they call it the galley. A lot of children, they steal food because they're so effing hungry. And if they get caught, it's going to be a withhold. And then they're going to be in all kinds of trouble. And then they have to repent, in the Scientology language. They've got to repent. And then all of the people that they're working with, because by the way, most of the children work in the galley kitchen. Yeah, it's a real thing in Scientology. So after they have stolen the food and then they're punished because they're so hungry, and then they're punished because they stole the food, then they have to get their group that they're working with, because 9-year-olds work full 18-hour days now. And then they have to get their what is called, in our world we would call it coworkers, but in the fake Scientology world they call it volunteer ministers, on R1 visas especially. And then they have to have all their coworkers ask them why they did this withhold and are they sorry for it. And they can't get any kind of any kind of uh, a break until everybody signs his paperwork, and then the person, including a 9-year-old child working in the kitchen galley, will have to say he was so sorry for stealing the bread or whatever, that he was wrong. Isn't that just fantastic? By withholding an overt, so, you got to tell them everything. They need to know everything. You're not allowed privacy. You're not allowed self-you-know-what when you're a young teenager. You're not allowed that. You have to tell them everything. If you have any kind of sexual thoughts, they need to know everything. You have to snitch on your mother. You have to snitch on your father. You have to snitch on your brother. And so far, everyone's just doing an amazing job playing dumb. I got to give them credit. Oscar Award material. By withholding an overt, something interesting occurs with people. People like children. They stop communicating to the person or things they have harmed. This guy was a nut job. To the person or things they have harmed, and end up withdrawing, moving away, or pulling back from areas where they used to be active. I'm just trying to make sense of what insanity he just said. In Scientology, there are now tools. Oh, and guess what? You're going to have to pay a shitload of money to get these tools. Even for your children, you're going to pay. You're going to pay so much until you go bankrupt. Or you get deathly ill. Or you have a psychotic break. Or your child is playing unsupervised with a firecracker and blows his arm off. Yeah. To resolve the problems, the ones that they create, presented by overts and withholds, enabling people like children, to again feel part of a group. Get into the group. And to restore the trust and friendship of others. And really, what I've seen, there really is no trust. There's no friendship. I mean, like on the surface level, yes. But the minute that you question Scientology, or you're not happy, like Lori Hodgson did not want her children in the Sea Org, and they badgered them until they were like over 18, and then they did join against Lori Hodgson's wishes as a mother. Badger her. Now there's no trust and there's no friendship all of a sudden. So anyways, like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Link in the description. Peace.